Welcome. My name is Penny Rosema, and you're listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. One of our goals is to keep our members informed. In this podcast, we're talking about consumer trends. Our guest is industry expert Fran Groesbeck. She's the creative director at 10 Touch Creative Agency. I'm excited to have Fran. She has extensive experience in the housewares industry, including product development and marketing. She works with and understands the manufacturing side of the world, designers, engineers, buyers, product managers, and also those testing labs. You know, if it's in the cookware, bakeware industry, she has some expertise in it. Not to mention that she also has experience working with retailers, importers, and brand owners. All of this makes Fran an ideal guest for us today, and we're going to interview her on the impact of COVID on the housewares trends and purchasing decisions. Now, you can find more information about Fran and the agency on the website www.10touchcreative.com. So, of course, you can find the website, her social media links in the show notes for this podcast. And, of course, you can always contact us at cookware.org. Our address and phone number is on our website. So for more information about her or about the association, we'd love to hear from you. Welcome, Fran.
Hi, Penny. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad to have you here today. Do you mind if I jump right into the questions?
Not at all.
So my first question is, in 2019, we reported that consumers' focus was on health and wellness, you know, that desire for healthy cooking. How has that consumer behavior evolved in 2020?
Well, 2020 has been a very interesting year, especially for our industry because the situation with COVID and the pandemic affected us early in the year with the impact on what happened in Asia and now what it's doing in our own country. But what's interesting is there are new things evolving from this pandemic that being aware of can help us in what we're doing in the housewares industry. And one of the trends, which is this wellness that you guys touched on in 2019, it's always been a part of our industry, but it's beyond the spa. This is beyond just your wellness, your health, and beyond even just how healthfulness has been a part of cookware with nonstick coatings and eating better, eating more healthy. It's really also about, is the product safe? Is my personal wellness, my family's wellness, is it there? So one of the ways that companies are starting to look at expanding on wellness is how can you make sure the customer is aware that the product is safe? How is it cleaned? How is it packaged? Anything you can share and let them know, whether it's a simple seal, whether it's a simple message, that's going to become important. Products that are sanitized, products that have been through some kind of process to let the customer know it's safe to use and safe to unpackage. That's the biggest story.
Yeah, when you're talking, I think about I've had the wonderful opportunity of going to manufacturing and seeing the manufacturing process, so I feel safe about it. But consumers have not necessarily. I know some of our members have done a great job with displaying their manufacturing process, actually videos.
But that's a really good point is you could take advantage of something you already have, which is videos of your manufacturing process, or create simple videos. It's so easy now with all this video technology out there. Many phones have great platforms to do this. Make sure they know. Many companies are putting that COVID statement on their websites. Go beyond that. Let the customer know what's happening at your factory. How is it packaged? What your employees have to do. Don't just tell them verbally. Don't have something that you're just clicking on. Be a little more visual with it. Have the videos, have some pictures, help them see people in smiling faces with their masks on and their gloves. The cleanliness of the manufacturing facilities, all that information that would give them some peace of mind. It really has become so much more than just about the health side of it. It's really about our personal wellness and are we safe?
So I see the manufacturers, right, making those, and the brand owners, I should say, right? And then they need to make sure they communicate that to their retailer. Is there a venue to do that? Is that considered an automatic, or how I'm not sure how that works.
Well, that is important to come up with a really good strategy, digital and traditional, in reaching the retailer and making sure they know what's going on. Don't just assume it. Don't just assume that they think you're doing the right thing. Communicate it with them. Right now, it's more important than ever to almost over-communicate about what you're doing regarding COVID and safety and the health and safety of your workers, the health and safety of the products than ever. And keep it simple. Don't write paragraphs or extensive documents. Send it in chunks, keep it simple, and make sure that they're aware and help them connect that information to what they share with their ultimate consumer. Because the message of wellness and safety is really important right now.
We're going to switch gears just a little bit, Fran, and CMA tracks and reports on key indicators to our members and to retailers. You know, those factors that drive cookware and bakeware purchases. Things like new household formation, new home construction and remodeling, and in some cases that's going really well right now. But let's talk about economic trends in general. What has changed with people's buying habits and purchases with COVID-19?
One of the unfortunate things that's come out of COVID is the amount of unemployment, and people have had to become smarter with their spending on every front. So they need to see more than ever a true value proposition. What are they getting for their money? Looking for things that are multi-use. Don't go overboard though, because you can overwhelm a consumer if it has 50 functions and they don't see the benefit of 40 of them. So you have to, it needs to be multi-use within reason, and the multi-uses have to have a meaning to that consumer. Price point has always been key in our industry. Even more so though now, and recognizing the need to have that right price point to attract the consumer, because they're being very careful with their money. They are spending it on our industry though. People are spending more time at home, which is another side of COVID. This is the economic side. So we're talking about, but when they are doing smarter spending, they are spending it on their kitchens. They are doing their cookware, their bakeware, the small appliances. They're looking for those pieces that will give them many functions and many purposes. Another interesting part is taking products that were meant for one thing previously and now expanding them for other reasons. So for example, bakeware in the US has always been primarily about the sugary side. Whereas in other countries like Europe, you saw more of the savory side, roasts and things like that. We're seeing both now. And taking something like a big cookie sheet with the sidewalls and, cooking with it to make one pan meals. So quicker, just as easy as a slow cooker, but much easier by throwing that pan in the oven. So now bakeware has a multifunction. You package it right. You can use colors to differentiate it, because bakeware, the darker colors, speed up the process of baking and will help brown the meats and the vegetables in the pan, which you want. Unlike, you don't want that on the sugary side. You keep the lighter colors, not too light, because you don't want it too light for obvious reasons on staining and baking with sugary products, but you keep the lighter colors for the sugary side. Now you've expanded your bakeware. By just changing a color, you have a whole other purpose. You could package them together, you could package them differently, but these are the things that these changes in the economics have caused the way we cook and bake at home to change, and can have an impact on how you present your products.
Very interesting. I was just on the National Retail Federation website, and some of the stuff that you're saying resonated with some of the graphics that they have there. So if listeners haven't checked out that website, they might want to flip over there, and because it's resonating right with what you're suggesting there. I want to take a little break here and remind listeners that this is the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. Fran is sharing her insight and comments on the impact of COVID-19 on our houseware trends and the purchasing decisions. How are consumers responding and adapting to these changing times? You can find more information about Fran and the agency at 10touchcreative.com. The link to that website and her social media links are included in the show notes. And again, you can reach out and connect with us. The Cookware Manufacturing's website is cookware.org, and there's a ton of information that's helpful for both retailers and manufacturers. Of course, members have access to a deeper dive into available information and reports, but I encourage everyone to check out our website and, reach out to me if they have any specific questions, because in this time of COVID, we're out to help everybody in any way we can. All right, Fran, I have another question for you. Let's explore 2020 a little bit more. What other trends related to the quarantine side of COVID have emerged? Do you have any insight on those?
I do, and this one is an interesting one for me because I've been doing cookware for quite a few years now. And back in my early days, I was raised on watching the cookware industry driven by sets, 8 and 10-piece sets. And that was 60% of your business, with 3 fry pans behind it and maybe a few open stock pieces. Over the last several years, millennials were changing the face of that market, looking for that one open stock piece that did everything they wanted or for a specific purpose. And they became willing to spend $99 on one piece versus $99 on a set because they didn't need the other pieces. COVID changed that with quarantine. With, as we mentioned before, people wanting to cook more, bake more, they're updating they're being aware of updating their cookware and bakeware in their kitchens. Quarantine had them opening their cabinets and going, oh my goodness, this is terrible. This has to go. And it is bringing back the purchase of sets. People looking for, okay, I want to replace everything. I want my kitchen to be just brand new overall on every front. And it brought back the interest in sets, which is great because that always was the foundation. And it really was what made our cookware business so strong here in the US. They still want specialty pieces. They're willing to buy both. The investment is there going back. They want to spend smart. So don't overdo it. But good sets really resonate with them right now because they're trying to update everything. Bakeware too.
Yes.
Bakeware sets have not always been the strongest, but putting the right sets together, going back to that idea of using bakeware for both sugary and savory, now putting sets together where the colors differentiate which pieces are for sugar and which are for savory could be fantastic. And people then would replace all their baking sheets just like they replace all their cookware pieces all at once.
Yeah, and I've noticed that with the the people being at home, and my own personal experience. I went to make the lasagna, and where's my lasagna pan? I don't have one, so I'm out buying that, and then my husband's picking up new nonstick pieces. And the numbers that we track from an economic standpoint, the new homes and remodeling, of course, when that kitchen's remodeled, you're pulling out everything else. I wouldn't use those old ugly pans in this beautiful new kitchen. And there is an uptick with people doing remodeling because their kitchen is transformed into a multi-purpose room, right, with all the COVID incidences as well. So, geez, great insights, Fran. I appreciate that. Well, listeners, we're going to kind of wrap it up here. You're listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. Want to remind everybody we are a proven, valuable resource to our members and to retailers. We maintain and update the engineering standards for the production of cookware and bakeware. If you're on the retail side and you want to be certain that cookware is made to a safe standard, ask them if they are using the CMA engineering standards, and they'll give you a good clue. We provide timely statistics and reporting to our CMA members. We're also a great resource for retailers with cookware training guides and information on our website. If you have any trouble finding it, again, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. And of course, we create these timely podcasts. You can find more information at cookware.org. This podcast will be posted there in a few days. We're also on iTunes, Google Play, and I think there's one other one, and it isn't coming to mind right now, but you can find us out there. So, Fran, let's wrap up and say thank you to you. But I feel like maybe we're missing something. Any other hot trends that we haven't talked about or mentioned?
There's a big one, and that's where and why I started 10 Touch Creative Agency. It's about digital technology. If COVID really challenged us how to communicate with each other, and we're all taking advantage of Zoom and all these new platforms and how to engage on the B2B side, there is a plethora of digital technology out there that we need to take advantage of as an industry to engage with the consumer. There's a lot more to talk on that point, but digital technology, how we connect, how we engage, it can open a whole bunch of new doors for people, and it really is there are some amazing tools coming, and it's going to be very exciting to see how we make use of those tools.
That sounds like a whole nother new podcast there.
Yeah.
I'll have to reach out to you again. I did mention your website and the social media, but it's okay to post your email on the show notes as well, I assume, so people can reach out directly if they go, well, wait a minute, what is she talking about? You've left me hanging here, people. But that's right. Always leave them wanting for more. Thanks so much, Fran. It's always a delight talking with you, and I look forward to future conversations.
Thanks, Penny. It was great talking to you too.
All right, that makes a wrap for this episode. Have a great day.